Oh wow, well, how has he managed to do that? I mean, how? Literally, how have you managed to get in there? Tell you what, worker of the month. No, what I'm saying, worker of the year. I mean, oh my. With that, welcome to a new episode of Airport CEO. Before we get going, if you end up enjoying this video, then don't forget to smash the like button. That really helps us out. And if you're new around here, you're always welcome to subscribe. Now we have Terminal 2 up and running. We had the grand opening in the last episode. If you have missed that, then I definitely recommend you to check that out before you watch this one. But in today's video here, we will focus mainly over at Terminal 1, where we last time actually already started the first construction process here for the expansion and refurbishment of Terminal 1. Now in this room here, that will become the baggage retrieval area. So we will actually have multiple baggage claim rooms. I think that's domestic luggage room or something like that it's called in the game, and we will have multiple ones of those. It will definitely be overkill. It will be way more than we actually will need, but it looks nice and we can make a nice baggage retrieval area here. So, you know, why not? Money still doesn't matter in the game, so why not? Yeah, so that is something that we will be working on. And another thing that we will be working on in this video is then actually starting the construction of the expansion to Terminal 1. That will become a satellite terminal. Very exciting. And of course, one thing we also need to do, which we actually talked about at the very end of last episode, that is we need desperately more de-icing pads at our airport, because we found out that the ones we have are not sufficient. Now you might have the question in your mind right now, that is, why are we refurbishing Terminal 1? Isn't the terminal running pretty much as perfectly and smoothly as it can? Well, yes, it is actually running really nicely. It's not overcrowded, and pretty much everything runs just as it should. But the main reason why I want to refurbish Terminal 1 is because I want to get rid of the small stands. Not all of them. I want to keep a few of the small stands, but only for general aviation. And we might have to replace them a little bit, because we will have to change the taxiways over at Terminal 1, so we have space for new medium stands, which will replace the small stands. Another reason why I want to, or maybe the main reason why I actually want to replace the small stands, is because right now the only airlines that use the small stands are the fictional airlines in the game, and they're mainly using these stands for PAX traffic with the DHC-6, which is a hopelessly old aircraft, and like no one is flying with this aircraft, at least not commercially. I don't think anyone is flying with them in Europe, maybe somewhere around the world, but I mean, this is not an aircraft that we actually see anywhere these days. So it's just totally unrealistic, and I prefer just to have real airlines and none of the fictional. If they were using actual aircraft types that we see in today's world, I would say, okay, maybe there's some ground for them being there, but as they're only using these really strange old aircraft types that aren't flying today, I don't really see the point in having them, and I think it just looks nicer not to have them. And of course, it is also kind of a natural evolution of the airport. I mean, you start off small, you slowly grow, you have expansions, you build new terminals, and at some point you come back to what you already have and you start reworking on that to try to improve it. So in that sense, I think it's also kind of, in a way, realistic, if you want to say so. one thing, of course, we need to do in preparation for the rising passenger traffic through the terminal is to expand the security area a little bit, or the security checks, basically. Actually, I'm not entirely sure if it would really be necessary. I think these two large security checks could probably handle the rise in passenger traffic, but just to be safe, I think adding 2 more would make sense. And then we will actually cut off this security area that we have here, which we originally were intending for added security checks, and we will use it for check-in desks, which will be needed for the stands over at the new satellite. Of course, then I also found a little bit of space left on this map where we can have an extension, which is a main thing that we will be working on today, at least having the groundworks for that. And that's of course because I can take away the small stands at Terminal 1 and I can replace them with medium stands. And I believe I will probably be able to squeeze in 3 medium stands, which is great, but it's not that much, and we could definitely use a few more stands at the airport with the amount of airlines that we have at the airport currently. So a small extension to Terminal 1 I think would be nice, and that would give us the opportunity, also kind of from the way we built the terminal, to try out something different. It would be a satellite terminal, and we would try basically to keep it fairly simple. Given that I also mainly would like to use Terminal 1 for low-cost carriers, so where we, for example, at Terminal 2 have loads of shops, and most of the shops are quite big, so they would basically be used by quite expensive shops, I don't know, but high-end shops. So at Terminal 1, at least at the expansion, that could be a more simple concept to a terminal building. And then also, for example, the shops be smaller and less lower end shops, let's say like this, which would match the passenger traffic that would be coming in at a terminal like that. Now, the basic concept for the satellite of Terminal 1 and Terminal 1 is basically that they would just be connected with a tunnel. So passengers go in at Terminal 1, they check in, they go through security, and then they simply go down to ground level and then level -1 through the tunnel, and then they would go up again to ground level, and then again take the stairs up to floor 1. And the reason I want to have them up there is because, of course, at the satellite I want to use the jet bridges. For that we need to have all the passengers up at level 1. Now, level 1 will actually in the end be I mean, how can I say that? The terminal will not be huge, so space is a little bit at a premium here, and I want to add quite a few shops in there. There will be smaller shops, but we want to have quite a few of them. And because space at floor 1 is relatively limited, the idea that I actually have is then to use the ground floor, which actually will be completely empty, but then we could actually have stairs going down to the ground floor, where we could have, for example, bathrooms and staff rooms. So instead of having it all at level 1, we could basically split it up that way. And I think that could be a really nice concept of building a terminal building. It's actually something that I haven't done before, so that will be the first time that I try that out, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that works once we have that part of the airport up and running. Now, while we have the satellite being constructed by our busy workers, we can just head over to Terminal 1 again and add the check-in desks that we will be needing. And I think one thing that I have really neglected also here at Terminal 1 is actually staff rooms. It's the never-ending topic in this series, staff rooms. We need them everywhere and we can never get enough of them. So actually what I think, I do have a staff room in Terminal 1, but I think that's actually behind the security check. So I would like to add a security, no, not a security check. I would like to add a staff room actually here at the upper floor where we have all these check-in desks, because we will have a lot of workers there. We have the security staff here, and we have all the people working at the check-in desks. So I think it would make sense to place a staff room here so that they don't have to work, they don't have to pass through security, and they don't have to walk as far as they currently have to reach the staff room, which should again improve operations here at the terminal. But of course, one thing we can never neglect here is the basic operation of the airport. So let's check the waste depot, which looks quite full. So we should request a waste pickup. Although I do actually think it will also do it automatically if it is too high or too filled up. But you can do it manually as well. It doesn't really, I mean, yeah, that's just fine. The catering depot runs really smoothly at minimum settings. Yeah, this thing will burn through your money like crazy if you push it anywhere up, and it's really not needed. I mean, we now have quite a substantial airport. We do have quite a lot of aircraft coming in, and the catering depot is still at minimum settings, and we're nowhere near in the danger zone of running out of food. So I don't know, it seems a bit crazy if you can, I mean, we are really at the minimum settings and we could push it up, and we would never get through all that food. So yeah, if you have a catering depot, just push it all the way down, and if you actually manage to burn through all that food that it will produce at minimum settings, well, let me know in the comment section below, because I would love to hear your story, how you managed to do that, because I seem not to be able to do that, and literally every aircraft is requesting to have catering, and we are still nowhere near getting through all that food. But enough talk about food, because I might just end up getting hungry. So yeah, let's focus on the construction side here. We need to add some taxiways, and of course what we need to do as well, which is the last thing we will be doing in today's episode, and that is adding more de-icing pads. So as we discovered in the last episode, 3 de-icing pads were nowhere near enough for all the traffic that we have when the aircraft need to be de-iced. We still have this really strange thing happening, that aircraft seem to pick their de-icing pad at random. Although I guess that's quite consistent for the game, that stuff seems quite random, because we have aircraft coming from one side. Let's say they come from Terminal 2, and we have 2 perfectly fine de-icing pads over at that side of the airport. But the aircraft would still go over to the other side of the runway for some reason. Anyway, yeah, that just happens, but yeah, I still haven't really figured out the logic behind that. But in any case, we need more of these de-icing pads, so we will add 2 more on the left side and 3 more ultimately at the right side. So then we will have 8 de-icing pads, if my quick maths is correct, and hopefully that will be enough to have the aircraft going out without any hiccups when they need de-icing. Now I will of course continue our construction efforts here, and also try to shine up a little bit the new baggage retrieval area that we have, and I will do that off camera so that we are ready for the next episode, where we of course will continue to work on the expansion of Terminal 1 and the refurbishment of Terminal 1. Until then, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash the like button, that really helps us out. If you're new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. And with that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.